Hey y'all, everybody's favorite bumpkin here. You may be wondering why I'm here at the Ride Factory on my day off. Well, I'm here working. I'm working, but I'm not. Well, anyway, you'll figure it out. Welcome back to Ramblin' Park. Shit, now that we got that out of the way, friends, Romans, countrymen, I've gathered you all here today because we got shovel shit we got to do. Now the thing is, I try to do as much stuff as I can there at the Jedi Temple, there at the house, at my garage. That way I can show you guys on it from a real world do-it-yourself at-home basis, okay? Now, if you guys have paid attention to any of my videos, you will probably realize that I've got about that much spare room in my garage at the house, okay? Yeah, something needs to happen there. I'm not going to say what, because I don't want to shame myself that way. But anyway, now normally I would show you guys how to do this from an at-home basis. However, just in the essence of time and also because of the amount of space that I don't have in my garage over at the house, I decided to bring the cylinders and the heads from Project Moonlight, aka our shovel head that we're building. I decided to bring them into the shop here at the Ride Factory because I've got everything I need up here and I don't have everything that I need at the house. And doing it this way, it was a lot easier just dragging that stuff over here than it was going to be dragging back and forth all the stuff that I needed to do it at the house. And I'll be honest with you guys, I'm kind of on a time crunch right now because I got to get something going on this thing. So anyway, let's dive in. Okay, step one to any successful repair: a neat and organized workspace. Shit! Well, we knew that was too good to be true. Let's be real here, guys. As far as a neat and organized workspace goes, that's a convenient lie that we all tell ourselves, okay? Especially here at the Ride Factory, as busy as we are. I mean, let's be honest here about it, folks. We're probably the only shop in a 75-mile radius that works on anything that's more than about 10, 20 years old anymore, okay? Case in point, shovel head. Oh, back here. Shovel head. I don't want to walk around the maze and everything to get to the front right now, but there's two more shovels up front, and also there's I got one pan head up there, and I got another pan head in a box. So, yeah. Needless to say, we're kind of hooked up and booking. So that whole neat and organized workspace, yeah, we're just going to overlook that right now because ain't nobody got no time for that. All right, now, if you guys remember, we had these pesky pain-in-the-ass acorn nuts that some genius Loctited onto the freaking base studs on this motor. All but one of them pulled out of the case whenever I was tearing this thing down, and they're not supposed to do that. Now, I already got one of these pulled out here, and let me show you why. All right, check this out, gang. See that stud? Yeah. See how it's got the coarse threading down here on the bottom of it? That's the part that's supposed to screw in the cases. That fine thread that's up there at the top half? Yeah, that's what the base nut's supposed to screw onto. Now, the thing is, they have that coarse thread on the bottom because these are threading into aluminum, okay? You need a little bit extra meat there to where it can engage in the metal and not pull the threads up out of the case. These are not intended to be removed on a regular basis. These are meant to be a semi-permanent install, if you will, because if you take these in and out of the case a few times, it wears the threads out. We're pulling all these damn things out of here. We're going to clean the bolt holes up, chase the threads in it, and then we're going to lock the damn things back into the case with some Loctite glue like they're supposed to be, and then we'll just deal with the acorn nuts when we go to set the cylinders back down on the cases. But at least that way we ain't got to worry about pulling a base stud. So let me get the rest of these out of here real quick. By the way, if you ever need to pull studs out of something, get you a set of these. These are a cam lock stud puller, and it's going to be damn near impossible for me to show you, but you ain't going to be able to see that. There's three little roller bearings inside here. Watch this. It just slides over, but when you rotate it, it grabs, and it grabs very well. Now, the cool thing is, these will rarely ever mar up the threads on a stud, a bolt, whatever the case may be, but they get a death lock on the damn things to where they will pull the studs out, or in this case, hold them in place to where we can spin the acorn nuts down off of them. I'll have you a link to these things down in the description on this video. Check them out. They make them in standard and SAE stud sizes, so yeah, It's definitely money well spent if you're going to be more than just the average, check my tires and change my oil kind of guy. I know a lot of people are going to be tempted to. Don't put these things on a rattle gun. That is one way to kill them. That is one way to tear shit up. Don't do it. Resist the temptation. Okay, so we got all of our studs out of this thing. Now, let's talk about surface prep here real quick. Let's go ahead and get all the nasty, grody, gross shit out of the way first before we go to clean everything up, because remember, we still got to hone these cylinders. Ew, flash rust. Living in Florida, y'all, it's humid, you know? We still got the ancient old paper base gaskets on the cylinders that we got to, get off of there. Now, I know a lot of you guys out there use the little roll-lock discs that are mounted on a die grinder. There's nothing wrong with that, but be careful. Here's something I like to do to kind of safeguard myself from accidentally taking too much material off and inadvertently making a low spot. See how I'm holding that? Yeah, I put my finger underneath the trigger on this thing. That way I can kind of regulate how fast I'm running it. I try to run this thing as slow as I can without stalling it out, but at the same time, I put a pretty decent amount of pressure down because the scratchy on the Scotch-Brite is what's doing the removal of the surface contaminant, old gasket paper, rust, paint, whatever the case may be. You want to take off just the old gasket schmutz and nothing more, okay? Don't linger. Keep it moving. That way you don't accidentally grind a low spot into your gasket surface. Because keep in mind, these are cast iron cylinders. Same thing applies for aluminum, guys. If you get lazy or you get complacent, you can create a big-ass headache for yourself. Now listen to this thing whenever I go to knock this gasket off here. Now y'all can kind of hear it, that thing's stalling out. Now the thing is, this runs a hell of a lot more RPM than what you're hearing. Yeah, it'll get it. But the thing is, I'm not running it that hard because I'm putting pressure down to let the abrasive on the Scotch-Brite do its job. I'm not trying to just blast it off of there from RPM. By the way, if you guys have got the little cordless electric grinders like a Milwaukee or like the Hyper Tough I've got at the house, same thing applies. The cool thing on those is, generally, you've got a speed setting with a button where you can push to kind of tone it down. But you can still throttle it by using your finger underneath the trigger on the thing. Now you can see there, see the surface finish that left? It's not polished up. It's got swirls and scratches and stuff like that. The thing is, that's what you're looking for. That's called RA finish level, okay? And basically it goes like this. The bigger the number on your RA finish, the finer the surface is. Now, we're not going to dig into it that deep here because let's be real here. This is shovel head, all right? The main thing is you don't want to polish the thing up like a mirror because two reasons. Number one, if you spend that much time, chances are you're probably buffing some low spots into your gasket surface. That's no bueno. Number two, more importantly, gaskets of any type, any composition, whatever the case may be, they've got to have a certain amount of tooth to them, so to speak, to where they have something that will let them grab a hold of and lock in place when they're under compression. Now, you guys remember the pictures I showed you in the last video where the head gaskets were squirming out of this thing? That shows you how the gaskets move whenever they expand and contract from heating. If you got a decent surface finish on there, you got enough scratch, so to speak, to where the gaskets have something to grab a hold of, they're not going to creep like that, provided they're torqued down to spec and you haven't, really, screwed the pooch. That's a technical term, Now, I know you guys have heard me say in the past that I try not to pull the rocker box studs out of a pair of shovel head heads while I'm working them, and normally that's the case. Now, I know for a fact that I had one rocker box stud that was trying to back out when I was taking this motor apart, so I thought it'd be a good idea to check them. Kind of glad I did, because so far, every other one I've pulled out, they ain't been falling out, but they ain't been tight neither. This will also give you guys a good look at how this cam lock style stud puller works. Well, gang, I've been wrestling with them for a little while now, and I do believe we're going to throw a stud kit in the heads on this thing before we go back together with it, because some of these studs that were tight, they do not want to come out. and it's to the point where I've had a couple of them that have bent just a little bit. And that's even with me cooking them with, good old Mr. Sparky here. So, stud kit it is. Moving on. At this point, we ain't got to worry about being gentle with them. We just got to get them the hell out of our way. Oh yeah, that's warm. Oh, I'm twisting that sumbitch up like a drill bit. Yep, that ain't good. If you got one that's being stubborn, persuade it. Let's be real here, folks. We're putting a stud kit in it anyway. What do we got to lose? Oh, would you look at that? A little heating and beating, and all of a sudden shit starts happening. There we go. Well, might make a good decking screw. Oh, shit. Damn it, now I done it. Broke that sumbitch smooth off in there, I did. Old bike shit. What are you going to do? Well, tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to go drill this motherfucker out of here because it's got to go. And we're committed now. Take a good look, kids. This is the stuff that you run into. Now, being as how this kind of deviated from our regularly scheduled programming, I'm going to go get this shit done real quick because I am kind of on a timeline here today with this video. So I got to get my ass in gear. Be back in a little bit. All right. After a couple of attempts at drilling that damn broken rocker box stud out, I finally said, you know what? Enough's enough. Tired of playing with this damn thing. So there's what's left of him. Yeah. Quick 5-minute meeting for an attitude adjustment with the general, aka my Bridgeport, and all of a sudden this thing started seeing shit my way. Don't piss off a fat man with power tools when he knows how to use them. I know it sounds a little bit butch, and the thing is, at the end of the day, it is. But after we get this stuff cleaned up, we're going to drop a helicoil in there. We'll be totally fine. Not a big deal. So much for our neat and organized workspace. I knew that joke wasn't going to last. Sparkum plugger 1. Gone. And Sparkum plugger 2. Gone. Let me show you a neat little gizmo I made as a helper elf tool a while back. See that? Yeah, got a pair of them. Now, if you notice, they got different threads on them. That's 10 millimeter, that's 12 millimeter, that's 14 millimeter, that's 18 millimeter. This started out as a piece of 3/4 inch stainless steel hex stock. So I just turned them down and then I threaded it and everything for common spark plug hole sizes. Makes for a handy helping hand whenever you need a extra pair of hands and you ain't got one around. Total cost, this was about 20 bucks worth of material. But the thing is, the amount of time and frustration they have saved me over the years is immeasurable. And for bikes like our Shovelhead here that uses a shorty spark plug, even though they had long spark plugs and a shorty hole, you know where I'm going with this, okay? They had the wrong shit in there. But for bikes that use a short or a shallow depth spark plug hole, that little collar makes up all the difference there. Now you may ask why I bothered making these. Well, I'm going to show you. This right here is why I made these. Clamp it in a set of V-blocks or in your regular vice jaws after you just snug it in the spark plug hole. Freeze your hands up. Holds everything in place. Let's pop the valves out of this damn thing, get these heads broke down. I like to give them a little tappy tap like that just to help break the tension on the tapers on the valve spring retainers.
Please, resist me.
Yeah, these are definitely not stock shovel springs. These things are stiff, man. Ooh, danger zone. We got one retainer out of the groove, or one keeper, I should say. We just got to be careful and not orbit that thing across the shop. In case you guys are wondering what I'm doing here, there's a little burr here in the groove where the valve keeper is right in the valve stem. I got to knock that down. That way it doesn't gouge the inside of my valve guide when I pull the valve out of the head. Just got to be real gentle with it. Don't take a whole lot off because it don't need much. And right like that, there we go. Guides are a good fit. Ain't hardly got no wobble at all in those things. So whoever put them in, they didn't put them in very long ago. Now, I ain't going to bore you guys with all the cleanup on these heads because, well, y'all have seen me clean shit before, and there's no point in showing y'all how to do it again. It's a not quick process, let's put it that way. Now, I will say one thing. If you got heads that are naked aluminum like this, something that'll kind of help speed the process, aerosol aircraft stripper, paint remover. If you spray that stuff inside the combustion chamber, let it soak in, it'll loosen up all the carbon, all the baked in oil, grease, funk, all that shit and everything. Now, be careful. Wear gloves. Wear iPro, absolutely for sure, because that stuff will burn the shit out of your skin, okay? So just be aware, all right? But it does a damn good job of pulling carbon off of stuff. So sometimes it's worth a little bit of pain. Hey, guys, quick and easy way to clean your valves up, stick them in a cordless drill. Now, obviously, you don't want to just gronk on them, all right? Just get it tight enough where it holds it in place. But take your drill, take your die grinder, if you got one. If you don't, that's fine. You can use a Scotch-Brite pad. It'll be fine. Spin it. Spin it. There. Clean. Pretty. The only thing you got to watch out for if you're doing this, look at your funk line, if you will, where all the gack and spooge builds up on the valve stem, you know, where it's not getting scraped off by the valve guide. That's where you want to stop at, okay? That's your stopping point. Also, right here, this angle where the valve seat, or the valve face rather, don't touch that. Bad juju. Leave that alone. Now, if you make sure you hold it at a right angle, you can get this outer edge here because that's not going to affect anything. But you don't want to lay over on this 45-degree angle because that's your sealing surface on the valve, okay? Don't booger dick that up. Okay, it had a little more soda left on it than what I thought, okay? That's about 5 minutes in the trusty and always dusty soda blast cabinet. See? Pretty. Takes all the carbon out of there. Also, the cool thing about using dry soda as a cleaning media like that, it's aggressive enough it takes all the shit, all the dirt, all the carbon, all the junk out of the way, but it doesn't affect any kind of machine surfaces such as gasket surfaces, valve seats, things like that. But it gets all the crap out of the way and it does a hell of a good job of cleaning. Also, slight side benefit here, if you got something that's ferrous metal, steel, cast iron, something along those lines, basically anything that'll rust, if you soda blast it and then you don't blow it off or you don't wash the soda off, sodium bicarbonate is a natural rust inhibitor, and I can leave stuff like this sitting on the shelf for, you know, about 6 weeks, and I don't have to worry about seeing the orange and creepies coming back. So let me run this thing through the sink, get some hot water going through it to flush all the soda out, and then we'll throw it in the solvent tank, clean it up. We'll be ready to put this head back together. But we got to lap the valves first. All right, so let's get the valves lapped into this thing, okay? Now, valve lapping compound, there's 2 different kinds out there. Personally, I like using the stuff that's grease-based and not the water-based stuff because it seems like the water-based stuff, 10 seconds after you make contact with it, it's gone, it's used up, it's blown out, and you got to just constantly keep reapplying that crap. Now, I've had this little can of Clover valve grinding compound, and, well, it's sold by Loctite under the Clover brand, but this is one of the old double your pleasure, double your fun double header cans. Keep it clean, y'all. Mama watches these. What I'm saying is, it's got fine compound on this end, but if you flip it over, it's got coarse compound on this end. Predominantly, I use the fine stuff. Occasionally, if I get one where the valve seats are pitted really, really badly, but not enough to warrant cutting the seats, yeah, then we'll bust out the rough stuff and use that to knock down the big chunks, and then we'll follow it up with the fine. But that can, there ain't a whole hell of a lot left in there, but consider the fact that I've had this can for, probably about 10 years now. So that ought to tell you just how much you have to use instead of how much everybody thinks you need. It don't take much, y'all. Yay, talking hands time. Ta-da! Okay, what we're going to do here is we're going to take our valve and we're going to put a little bit of valve grinding compound on the seat area of our valve here, like so. And like I said, it does not take much at all. Yeah, those itty bitty little blobs right there, more than enough to get it done. There's always time for lubricant. Man, if we only had that Haley chick around here. Sorry, y'all. I got to get as much mileage out of that as I can. Anyway, kind of a lightweight lube, basic cable lube. You can use WD-40, PB Blaster, or whatever the case may be. I like using this stuff because it's a little bit heavier, sticks around a little longer. Just give just a little bit on the valve stem. One quick shot down the valve guide. Then you can drop your valve into place. I said you can drop your valve into place. Why is the valve not going into its place? Oh, yeah. Remember whenever I showed you guys clamp this in a drill to clean it, and I told you don't clamp down on it too hard where you drill? I did. And there's a couple of small little nicks right there around that edge. That's what's sticking me. Let me get that dealt with. Okay. Now that we got the burrs knocked off of our valve and we got it down in the guide, floating free and everything, take your little piece of fuel hose, something that's kind of limber, flexible, whatever, put it in the cordless drill, and then slip that over your valve stem where it comes through the top of the guide. And you want to have a piece about, 5-6 inches long. That's what we're looking for right there. See how that hose is kind of getting curled up on itself? See how it's popping the valve up and down? That's what you want it to do. That will seat that valve with a quickness, and it will get it even all the way around, and it will do it in short order. And it sure beats the shit out of sitting here with a damn suction cup on a popsicle stick, working it back and forth by hand. Now think about it. That's what this thing's doing while it's running. You hear that clattering from that valve smacking against the valve seat? Yeah, it does that all the damn time. You just don't hear it for the tiny little explosions that you're keeping contained in this little tiny area here. Ugh. There you go, gang. One nice, consistent, evenly seated Inlap valve. Now, I'm going to see if I can get y'all close enough to see this, but I ain't going to make no promises, all right? Now, if you look right around this outer perimeter of the valve here, that light, dull gray area, that's the actual sealing surface. Now, if you look while I spin that around, see how it's nice and consistent all the way around its diameter? That's what you're looking for. If you see any little specks or any little craters or pocks, you ain't done yet. Go back and get it again. This one, yeah, that's good stuff. Now we just got to do is buddy the exhaust valve, and then we got to throw the whole mess in the solvent tank and clean it up, because now we got to start worrying about abrasive contaminants and everything. We got to get all that crap cleaned out of there before we can start reassembling. All right, gang. Having to drill out that rocker box stud kind of put me behind the curve a little bit on my time frame here, so I got to get my butt in gear. But I wanted to show you guys the honing process on, just freshening up the crosshatch in these cylinders. Now, there's a big difference between fitment honing and surface honing, or what I call surface honing. Fitment honing is when you use a rigid four-finger type of fence hone and you're literally taking the last 2 to 3 thousandths of an inch out of the cylinder wall after you've bored it oversized. And not only are you squaring up the cylinder, you're making it parallel, you're also establishing that crosshatch. Now, what we are doing here is basically more or less burnishing. There is crosshatch that's existing in the cylinder. What we're doing is basically we're just running a dingleberry hone through there to roughen that up just a little bit, just to bring it, to bring it up to the surface a little bit, to give a fresh surface for our new rings to bed into. That way they're going to wear in right and form a proper seal. We're not trying to take any material out of the cylinder bore because we're already at our target dimension. All we're looking to do is just basically reestablish that crosshatch finish. That way the new rings have something to seat to. Now, a couple different things you guys have heard me talk about already. For doing this kind of cylinder work, for, just freshening them up, I prefer to use a dingleberry hone like this. The adult term for it is called flex hone, okay? You talk to anybody that's ever used one of these, yeah, it's a dingleberry. Basically what it is, it's little bitty tiny abrasive rocks that are arranged here on what is essentially a overcompensating shotgun brush. Yeah, the thing is, it allows it to self-center, and it also allows it to put even pressure inside the cylinder bore at all times in all positions. Whereas a traditional 3-finger hone like this is more apt to cause taper wear in a cylinder if you get a little carried away because of how these pivot. Because you've got these 3 arms that are spring-loaded, and then these, the rocks, they float free. And they're more or less left to their own devices to find their home, so to speak. Now, there are certain times where this is preferable over the dingleberry, particularly 2-stroke stuff, whenever you don't have valves and you've got all the port windows in the cylinder wall. But for what we're doing on this old shovel head, because remember, cast iron cylinder, guys, yeah, the dingleberry, that's where it's at. Okay, now I know that there's a lot of graybeards out there and a lot of guys way smarter than I am that have worked in machine shops for many, many years that are fixing to have a heart attack, and they're fixing to smash that unsub button whenever they see what I'm fixing to do here. Now, is this an ideal situation? No, it's not. However, it is perfectly fine for what we are doing on this particular repair, okay? Now, if this were a raw cylinder that had no prior honing or any cylinder finish on it at all, absolutely I would not do this, okay? However, considering that we're working on cast iron cylinders and we are working with tolerances that are fairly generous in the grand scheme of things, the way that we're doing this, it's going to be totally fine. Okay, now what we've got in our solvent tank here at the Ride Factory, it's basically mineral spirits, paint thinner, if you will. Now, you never want to try to dry hone a cylinder bore. That will always end in tragedy. You got to keep your rocks, whether it be a dingleberry hone, a 3-finger hone, a fence hone, whatever it is, they've got to be wet, they've got to have lubrication, because not only does that provide for a more even surface finish, that flushes away and carries away all the swarf and contaminants that's cast off by the abrasives on your hone and also what it's taken off the cylinders. So, take your hone, get it in the trusty old cordless drill here, and you don't want to just jam it down in there. You want to have it moving when it's going into the bore and coming out. Now, it may be a wee bit messy, but it kind of comes with the territory, guys. Give her another few swipes here. Now, when you're doing this, you want to hold this thing as centered and as close to perfectly in line with it as possible. That way you don't get any funky wear off to one side or you don't get any kind of a goofy pattern honed into it. And I got to be careful so I don't drop Drew's drill into the solvent tank and drown it. Very nice. I have no idea if you guys are going to be able to see this, but we will try. You probably ain't going to be able to see this. But If you look close, see, we got nice even crosshatch in that cylinder bore. I know it's kind of hard to see, lousy light. I'm not a cameraman, I'm a mechanic. So we will call this one done, and we're going to place him back into the parts washing vessel because we still got to clean it up. In the meantime, we're going to grab his buddy, and guess what, dude? It's your turn. Yeah, I do believe we're going to quit there. Okay. I can hear it now, all right? There's some of you guys out there in the crowd right now going, you don't do it like that. Hey, this is meant to be an informational overview. It is not a scientific step-by-step process, okay? Now, the thing is, had I wanted to present that to you guys, then we would be watching probably about a 2 to 3 hour video that would be extremely boring, and most of you guys would be cross-eyed and drooling on yourselves before you got halfway through it, okay? I'm just trying to hit the cliff notes here. Now, if you want to read up on this and actually study up on it, check out Jim's Automotive Machine channel, Jamsy Online, those guys, the father and son duo. Those guys, they got their shit on point, okay? And their info that they put out, it's absolutely 100% accurate, at least to my knowledge. And also, it is extremely explanatory and extremely informational. Give them a look. Now, these guys don't give me any kickbacks or sponsorships or anything like that. I'm just a viewer like you guys. And the thing is, them two, their father and son team, yeah, they're the real deal. So now that we can all walk away from the clutching our pearls moment that we've all had, because apparently I've done something that has angered someone on the internet, and I'm sure they will let me know about it in the comments eventually. Yeah, they will. Now that we got these cylinders cleaned up, I'm going to leave them sitting over in the solvent tank right now. I ain't going to wash them off. I ain't going to do squat. I'm going to leave solvent on them and everything. Why? Well, I'll tell you. It's a damn good rust inhibitor because Florida, and also I still got to take this stuff back to my shop at the house, and I got to do the final fit up and assembly on it because we still got to check our ring gaps on our pistons, okay? So anyway, since I'm kind of in a time crunch, let me grab this one head that I've already got cleaned up. That way I can show you guys the reassembly process and putting the valve stem seals in there. And there's a couple little tricks on that I want to show you as well. Hang on a sec. Let's grab that. Old bike shit, y'all. Y'all remember that part where I told you that my nickname in high school was Black Cloud? Yeah, well, I'm earning it today. Bronze valve guides. Valve stem seal. Fucking hot dog in a hallway. So either somebody has put a set of guides in this thing that are intended to absolutely not be run with seals, or they got some weird funky size guides in this thing. Now, these guides are supposed to fit late shovel from 80 on up, or these valve stem seals are supposed to fit late shovel from 80 on up with a 5/8 inch OD valve guide. And that would be 0.625 in the highly precise 1,007-inch jargon. Well, I just measured these damn guides out at 0.550. So yeah, hot dog in a hallway. Yay me. Shit. Huh. This sure feels like a Monday. It really does. Well, what are you going to do, guys? That's the shit that you run into from time to time whenever you're coming back up behind somebody going into a situation blind and you have no idea what the guy before you did. So yeah, we got to back up, regroup a little bit. We'll come up with a solution. We'll figure it out. I mean, worst come to worst, I got a lathe. So I kind of feel bad because I feel like I haven't been able to do a whole hell of a lot today. And truth be told, I haven't. I mean, yeah, I've made some progress, but not near as much as what I would have liked to have. That's for damn sure. I've got a bunch of parts here I'm going to take back to the house with me to where we can start building the bottom end out on this thing. But I was really hoping to where I could get the top end stuff all squared away today and, get that to where I can put that back together and get that all corked back up. So I guess it's going to have to live a few more nights in the trash bag here in the Temple. Well, let's see here. Fumble around in the shop at the ride factory, run around in circles, spin my wheels, not accomplish a whole hell of a lot. Oh, hey, one good thing about it. My buddy Rainey reached out to me earlier. He's got a new video that's going to be coming out right after mine wraps up here over on the Rainey Rider channel. Apparently, he bought him a new toy. So, whenever we get done here, let's go check that out, see what he's got going on. Because, hell, last week he strapped a Game Boy onto the Sportster, so, I don't know. We'll figure it out. Guys, I feel bad. I feel like this was kind of a goose egg on my part, but, I run into this time and time again, and you would think by now that I would be used to it. I'm not. It's aggravating. It's just, it's one of those things that you just kind of get that feeling where you're like, oh, man, this sucks. Because it does. It kind of kills your momentum, kind of kills your mood. But, hey, such is life in motorcycles. If everything went together smooth and by the numbers, then, hey, we could build custom motorcycles in, basically 2 42-minute episodes with limited commercial interruption. And the occasional chair thrown through a door. Sorry. What can I say? Kind of got skunked on this deal. But that's all right. We're going to come back at it. We're going to get what we need. We're going to get it put together, and we're going to push forward. Hell yeah. Old shovel shit, man. That's the way it happens sometimes. So anyway, since we don't have it to fit in the video here, be sure to check out the Patreon, because as I get this thing together throughout the course of the next few evenings this week, I'm definitely going to be uploading a bunch of pictures and maybe some small video clips over there. You guys, y'all have been with me since day one. Hey, that's the pecking order, y'all. Y'all get first dibs. Now, if you don't know what we're all about here, or if you've just been living under a rock, yeah, go over and check out the Patreon. There's going to be this little helpful link down here in the description on this video. That's where you get the access link to the Joe the Mountain Jedi Discord channel. That's where we're building our knowledge library. And that's where I'm going to probably jump on and rant and rave and vent and bitch a little bit about this a little bit later on tonight just to blow off some steam. Now, we got a hell of a lot of smart folk over there. And the thing is, if I don't know something, I throw it out there to the crowd. Somebody out there is going to have an inside line to where I'll have that aha moment. That's how community works, okay? I help you guys. You help me. We all scratch each other's back. We all lift each other up. We all support one another, okay? The internet, unfortunately, has turned into this whole every man for himself and everybody is wrong and you suck. And that ain't the way that it ought to be, man. It costs $0 to have a modicum of human decency. It costs $0 to, share something with somebody where it's like, oh, hey, I know this. You might want to take a look at that. That's all it is, folks. Just be a decent person. Just remember, guys, I love you. We're going to come back at it next week, bigger, badder, and better than ever. We're going to kick this thing in the ding-dang, and we're going to build us a damn shovelhead come hell or high water. Till then, I love y'all, and I'll catch you on the flip side with the right damn parts.
Force will be with you, always.